man, I was just today texting a friend of mine uh, who pastors a predominantly Anglo space.
Okay.
But she said that she felt, she felt really good in the preaching moment this past Sunday. I listened to her sermon,
Okay.
and I just kind of affirmed, man, embrace the voice. That's your true, authentic voice.
Right.
you know. And at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to what we were sharing. All of this is just validation in the sense that at the end of the day, it's our pedagogy of Black prophetic preaching, man, that's going to save this nation, that's going to save the lives of people. And in order for, people to become beloved community, I really believe that. I live that. That's one of my core convictions, that it takes the pedagogy of Black preaching. We've
Right.
seen it in our history, and it's still prevalent today.
Right. 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 Man, it's going to take that, right? And to me, it's going to take the understanding that it's going to take that. Here's what I mean, right?
Yes, the acceptance. Yeah.
Because you hear Negroes now, right? You hear us now, and we don't want to do this work. You know what I mean? Like white folks got to figure this out. You know what I mean? And they do. But white folks are also incapable of figuring this out. And it's like,
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm sorry, man.
And it's like, that's funny because I was serious and shit.
Right.
And it's like, what was it, man? You my Baptist minister, man, and so you know the word better than me, man. What was it? What was it? The prophet say? How shall they hear unless one is sent? What's that scripture, man?
Yeah. How can they hear without a preacher?
Right. And at the same time, you complement that with Isaiah, and it's like, here am I, send me.
Mm-hmm.
And but we don't want to do that work. You know what I mean? Blackness is like, whiteness got to figure this shit out. And we hear them now, man. And this is the scariest thing. Not scary, right? That's like a hyperbolic statement. Like hyperbolic statement. You know what I mean? Like I don't fear this. I know it's going to happen. I don't fear this. You know what I mean? We hear this whole, Biden and them talking about, healing the soul of the nation. And, I'm gonna circle back to, it's going to take, the Black prophetic witness, right? But here it is. We got whiteness talking about, they're going to heal the soul of the nation. White, Biden going to heal the soul of the nation.
Sorry, bro.
And it's like,
oh my God,
these fools can't heal the soul of the nation.
They can't even heal themselves, right? to your point.
But yo, it's like we hear that, like Negroes is dancing in the street. Van Jones' ass was crying on CNN, yo. Like, crying, son. Like, as if, somehow this time they gonna get it right. And man, I was just talking about it on racial heresy. Case and I was talking about it. It's like, white folk, y'all need to understand that. Y'all need to understand and accept. Y'all good at a lot of shit. We can say y'all good at a lot of shit. Y'all good at infrastructure, at deploying resources efficiently. Y'all good at a lot of shit. Whiteness has proven ineffective at caring for humanity. we just haven't seen that. We haven't seen that.
Yeah, we never will, I don't think.
But you know, and it's like, yo, whiteness has not proven to be good at caring for souls.
No. Mm-mm.
And so when you hear white liberals talk about, well, now we got to heal the soul of America, be very scared, be very afraid. Because we have seen their prescriptions are ineffective. Their remedies are not lasting. It's like the pharmaceutical industry. You know, they give you a pill that keep you coming back every 40, 50 years, you know? And this is why I circle back to, it's going to take the black prophetic witness, right? Like, we got to understand they can't get this shit right unless we tell them how to do it.
Yep.
They ain't got to know how to do it.
Nope.
And so when we talk about, and that's why I'm like, when we decided not to leave America, we decided to make our bed with white America. We decided to adopt them as brothers and sisters. And we can say we decided to adopt them as brothers, sisters, American, right? Sisters and brothers in the American social milieu. Further compound that as sisters and brothers in the Western Christian milieu. Man, if we decided to stay and we have adopted them as brothers and sisters, we got a responsibility to our brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we ain't trying to take that responsibility, and we ain't trying to leave. We ain't trying to sever ties. As if they gonna have the answer for us. You know what I mean? And it's like,
right,
man, if we keep waiting on them to find the answers, trusting them to find the answers, looking for them to find the answers, telling them they need to find, man, that's why we stuck on stupid. So my whole thing is like, you know, and you see it with these white evangelicals, right? Like, man, you see them clips, man. You see them clips of them white evangelical pastors and
man, calling for the angels from Africa, angels from South America, and meanwhile, the soon-to-be past president talked about those countries
as
being
shithole countries.
S-hole countries.
Yo, you know, they got that one pastor, whatever, Copeland, whatever I think his name is.
Listen.
That fool that's laughing. Ha, ha, ha. I'm like, y'all don't understand. Man. Most folk are not understanding what he is doing there. They think he's laughing because it's funny. No. In the twisted theology that is Western Christendom that's devolved into white evangelicalism, he is shaming the devil. That's what in his warped mind he is doing. That is what he is telling himself that he is doing. He ain't laughing because it's funny. It's funny to him that, no. He is engaged in a religious activity. he is engaged in a liturgical act, as you would. And so when his parishioners, and you see black folk in there too, and I'm like, that's why all these when y'all say where all these black folks who voted for Trump come from, you know where they come from? All y'all black folk who've been going to these white evangelical churches, to these non-denominational churches, quote unquote. These mega churches sitting in there, you about the only black face in there. But they
ain't the only one, man. It's a lot of them in there.
I know, man.
Listen,
If
you pulled out just black people from those spaces, you will have the largest black church in that city.
Dude, That's right. You talked about that. I think last week you brought that up. But he is performing a liturgical act.
Yep.
They are calling on their God in that act.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And see, we laugh along with that instead of pointing out the heresy in that.
Right.
We laugh at them as these fools is crazy. They're not accepting. But no. And this is the problem, right? When we talk about it's going to take the black prophetic witness, the black prophetic witness got to start pointing out the heretical witness of white Christianity. That this it is not the way of love. And you don't have any authorization to talk about the things that will bring the healing of the soul. No, that's not your work. That's not your space. That's not your giftedness. That's not your calling.
So I know we came on this joint fiery, man. So I want you to define what it means, prophetic witness. What does prophetic witness mean? The black prophetic witness. Let me be clear.
No. I'll get there. To me,
okay, all right.
Because again, just like I don't believe in black theology, I don't believe in black prophetic witness.
True,
right?
true.
However, the black prophetic witness is the authentic prophetic witness, as we will see in the Western Hemisphere. Now, when I say prophetic witness, I mean being in that position to speak truth to power.
Yes.
You know, we done bastardized that term, speak truth to power. You know,
we have.
And we done turned it into, oh, I'm shouting out what's really going on. Nah, yo. Speak truth to power is, you know, what the prophets did. Isaiah and them, Jeremiah and them, you know, Hosea and them, they were speaking to kings. They were, yo, this is what it is. This is what's going on with your society. At certain points, they were well received by the king, and they could live in the city. At certain points, they weren't well received by the king, and they lived outside the city.
Yeah.
You know, at certain stages in the country, the niggas is in vogue. You know, at certain periods in the country, niggas ain't in vogue no more.
Yeah. I would agree.
But I was thinking, man, and this is the problem when I start thinking, Doc. That's my problem. I start thinking, man, and I start thinking, and I'm like, you know, black folk who descended from American slavery are the only Americans, period. We let them make us African Americans or Black Americans or whatever. We are the only Americans, period. I would back that up anthropologically, you know what I mean? Like, I have to really talk to some of my anthropologist friends to see if this sits in the school of anthropology or if this would be more of a sociological construct, right? But intellectually, I'd support this. Why? Because black folk descended from slavery are the only Americans, the only ones who have no identity to which they can ascribe for themselves beyond America. The Native American who is an American now, according to you in the United States of America, has an existence, an identity that they know, that they hold to. They have a culture that they know, that they hold to, that predates their identity as an American. Every white person that's ever come here has an identity that they know, that they hold to, a culture that predates their identity as an American. For the descendant of American slavery, the only identification that we have that we know is America. We may clamor for an identity beyond these shores. We may do some research and test our blood and find some speculation on some identity beyond these shores.
I did it.
But even within that, there's a margin of error. There's a percentage. We don't know. The only identity that we know that we have a tie to is America. Black folks who descended from American slavery are the only Americans. Who else can tell America about America but the only ones who ever were American?
Mm. Mm. That's a good argument, Doc.
But we say it ain't our work.
And I wonder, why do we say things like that? This is not our work, or I don't want to do the work. I can answer the second, but I just wonder why we say that this is not our work.
Man, I don't know, Doc. I mean, you can speculate. We can speculate. The work is too hard, inferiority complex, acceptance of supremacy, of white supremacy.
This is not my issue.
This American individualism, America's, this is the reason to step away from the racial dynamics, right? Just the white supremacy beyond the racial, right? Like white supremacy is beyond racial. And so to this dynamic of the whole problem of our response to COVID is part and parcel of this white supremacist American construct of individualism. People can't do what's in the good interest of the whole because they are not a country. We are not, these quote unquote patriots could give a damn about the country. The good of the country, the people, we the people. Let me not say the country, because they care about whatever the conception is that they have in their mind. But the country, just like the church, is not the building. The church is the people. The country is not the governmental structure. It is we the people.
Yes.
And in the American construct, we don't care about we the people. We don't give a damn about we the people. It's about me, the person.
The person. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So when we
Come
talk
here,
about
De La Soul.
when we talk about me myself when we talk about white folks ain't got the healing of America, they ain't got the healing of America in no perspective.
Facts.
Again, they may know how to invent some shit that's, and I'm not saying some shit to take it lightly. They may be able to invent some groundbreaking, monumental shit. They may be able to you know what I mean? Nah, maybe we didn't know what the fuck to do with cobalt. I don't know. Maybe we didn't know what to do with cobalt until the white man turned it into cell phone chips. I don't know. That's not my point. My point is, in the things that pertain to life, as much as they may talk about being pro-life, in the things that matter to life, they have a legacy of death.
And let me be clear, man, because it's funny that you mentioned up this whole idea of pro-life. That ideology of pro-life, it only exists from the embryonic to the fetal stage of life. So while an embryo and the fetus is inside the womb, that's when life matters. But once that life is pushed out of the birth canal, they say two words: F you.
Yo.
And you become a statistic, you become a number, you become all of these names, but they are pro-life.
Yo, I remember.
That's
so y'all Y'all heard me say before about me being Republican, man. I'm still registered. I'm more libertarian than anything else. Um, I'm still a registered Republican, and I ain't afraid of them. Whatever, you know. I don't like the government, you know, and I believe that as a black man, I got good reason to not like the government, not trust the government. But I remember I was a delegate to convention. I told y'all I was a delegate to convention um, back when Obama was nominated the first time. So I was a delegate to GOP convention, RNC. And man, I got into it with one of these cats who was pro-life, man. And
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I'm the black guy there, right? So they had the other black guy. The white folks had the other black guy who was a part of their little squad. Because I'm the black guy. You got everybody is clamoring over the one nigga that's at the party. You know what I mean? When you the only nigga at the party, everybody is like, man, we gotta have him because we gotta look like we're the ones that got him with us, right? So all of these groups reaching out, they're like. So they sent over the brother to talk to me about pro-life. And I'm like, pro-life. He started talking his religious spiel and so on and so forth. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pro-life. But I said, but you aren't pro-life. He's like, what you talking about, pro-life, blah, blah, from womb and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But you support the death penalty, right? Well, but how you pro-life and you support the death penalty?
Reverend.
I'm like, y'all be pro-life at the beginning of death or at the beginning of life, man. I'm like, I'm pro-life at the beginning of life, the middle of life, the end of life. I'm pro-life. I said, look, the Lord ain't telling me who is judge, who is wrong, who is right. We can do, he talked about God's justice. I said, we could do justice, but we could do mercy. And I would rather stand before the judgment seat of God having given mercy to someone who didn't deserve mercy, rather than exacting justice upon someone who didn't deserve that justice.
Why do you say that?
Dude.
Why do you say that?
Because for me, mercy is more loving. I know I'm not God. Justice is love, but I know I'm not God. And so the Lord wishes not the death of the sinner, but that he would repent and live. Man, St. Dismas, at the absolute last moment on the right hand of the Lord of the cross, came to his repentance. And this day he was received with the Lord in paradise. Who am I to say how somebody, will be received before the Almighty? Who am I to say how I will be received before the Almighty? Who am I to say that somebody's sin on a global scale is worse than my sin on a private scale? I don't know.
So then why do you dichotomize justice and mercy then?
Because that's the argument that they make. That's the argument that they make. That's the argument that they would make. Okay. When you in those circles, they talk about justice. That's how they appeal to the death penalty. They appeal to supporting the death penalty because of their support for a just God. That's what they use in their argument. In their argument to explain support of the death penalty, they'll talk about the justice of God and working God's justice. And so in the sense that you're going to invoke the justice of God and have the audacity as a human to justify taking another life, to justify violating the commandment of God that thou shalt not kill, to justify that on the basis of saying that you are acting on behalf of God to exact his mercy. If I, as a human, as a creation, am going to have the audacity to take on one of the attributes of God and be in error, and possibly be in error in taking on one of the attributes of God, the attribute that I would err on, I would be willing to err on being merciful, even though I can see both being wrong. Being merciful to someone who didn't deserve mercy as being quote unquote wrong. You know what I mean? We can parse these whole things of, the knowledge of good and evil is the whole nature of the fall and whether something is right or wrong and so on and so forth. But if we want to use that sort of language, right? I would rather, as humanity, err on the side of being merciful towards someone who didn't deserve mercy than exacting judgment upon someone who wasn't deserving of that judgment. So I rather, to use the death penalty analogy, I would rather err on the side of letting somebody live, that the Lord would say, I would have killed them. That's your right, God. That is your right, my Lord. I wasn't sure on your will. I thought about it, I can't even lie. I had that inclination that he got to die. But at the same time, I was like, I know that could be my human inclination. That could be me thinking that he deserves death and that he is unrepentant and that he is, or she is or whatever. I'd rather let you take care of their life.
Yeah. Man, I would argue and say that mercy is rooted in justice. And I think that is where the claim of prophetic witness kind of stakes its premise, is that there can be no mercy if justice is not at the center. So, to your point, I think the problem becomes is that we do not utilize mercy while having justice at the center. So what happens is, to your claim about, that you said earlier in terms of how the ideology of whiteness does not look at life as sacred, and it's because they lack mercy, and what happens is they misuse this term justice, but the thing is, it's a misuse of power. And so in order for us to embody prophetic witness, justice has to be at the center. And in that center is when we as prophetic witnesses can embody mercy. This is why we can embody the work of prophetic witness. Because what we are saying is that you may not have the capacity, or you may be too fragile to look at yourself from within and to do self-actualization work. But through prophetic witness, we can show our mercy by proclaiming the gospel, by proclaiming what thus saith the Lord, and holding you accountable, because through mercy that's centered in justice, we can love you.
Man, I was going to say, you know what I mean? It's like, we can't even love them effectively now. You know what I mean? Because anything we do for them is rooted in self. Anything that we do for them, like, we voted for their candidate.
That's a good point.
We did it for self. Anything that we do for them, we do for self. We wanted to, we out there, Black Lives Matter, we marching and whatnot, because we want to bring white power to the table. We want to bring white liberals to the table. We want to get our white allies in relationship with us. That's why we ministering to them, because we want them to be in relationship and to care about our issues. We ain't ministering to them because we want them to tend to their issues. We want to heal the deficiency in their soul. We can't do that. We can't do that right now, because right now we underwater. We like, shit, I can't breathe. I got to minister to y'all to get the police off my neck, because I can't breathe. But it's like, I was looking at, the scriptures and the proper care and feeding of white folk and how we interact with them, and looking at how, that passage that talks about, while we were yet sinners, God sent his son to die for us, that we weren't deserving of his love, when he sent his son to die for us. And that's true. We weren't deserving of his love. We were not looking for him. Only John the Baptist was looking for him. Only Mary was the Virgin Mary was where he was willing to receive him. Nobody else was looking for him. And while we were yet sinners, he came to us, right? And so it's like, why was he able to do that? Because he had no need to do it. You know what I mean? It sounds crazy, right? But God was under no obligation to come to us. God was under no obligation to save us. God was under no obligation to help us. He helped us simply because he is love. And it was simply for his good pleasure. Understand that, like, subjected himself to crucifixion for his own good pleasure.
And I think that is what is lost in terms of prophetic witness, is that we lose sight of the why. You know, one of the things you said, I was listening to Rachel Heresy last week. Shouts out to my brother Case, who's doing such great work, you and Case. I was listening to Rachel Heresy, and Case begged the question, you know, where is God? and you said, no, the question is not where is God, it's where are we? And this is where the question is, where are we in terms of the prophetic witness for us to embody the gospel or gain our inspiration as to what Jesus did. Jesus was not under any obligation. We're not under that obligation either, but it's because of our love for God, our love for community, as well as our love for self. That is the Trinity. That's the Trinity of humanity. And so as a result, because we love God, self, and others, it's, encompassed in who we are as a people, who I am as a person, and who I am in terms of my love and conviction or commitment to God. We serve others, and that's how we serve others, is through that prophetic witness.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. And to me, now more than ever, that's what that's what is needed. You know, I mean, the audacity of whiteness to think that it has a remedy, a prescription for this problem. Now, maybe if this was an overwhelming defeat, right? Like maybe if Trump and Trumpism and QAnon folks had got trounced at the polls, right? And it was a electoral bloodbath. You know what I mean? And the overwhelming majority of white folks, this is what you would want to see. The poll numbers of white folks, the exit polls of white folks, is that an overwhelming number of white folks voted against Trump and Trumpism. Then, okay, maybe y'all might have learned something. Maybe. But this was a damn close election. The jury is not out. The jury is not out, and Trump could run again in 4 years.
He could. He could. He really could.
And so that Black prophetic witness, right, to tell everybody what it's really about, because it ain't about Black Lives Matter. It's about Black Lives Matter. Don't get me wrong. No. It's about y'all are wicked. It's about, this is heresy.
And this is why Black Lives Matter.
Right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
The evidence of your wickedness is the experience of Black Americans.
Yes.
This is exhibit A. This is exhibit A in our prosecution of the case of your wickedness. You know, that no. This is more than about the racial dynamic. It's about that. You know what I mean? But the racial dynamic is the,
it stems from the prophet, from that wickedness. It stems from that wickedness. Is that Ephesians 6? You know, I'm gonna get in trouble for naming these scriptures and not knowing the right chapter.
You the Baptist, man. You the Baptist.
Listen, they will revoke my car for this, but there's a passage of scripture in Ephesians, I think it's Ephesians 6, but it says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against, you know, the principalities and wickedness, you know, they're in high places. I'm paraphrasing, but it's to that wickedness that you're talking about that wickedness is rooted or stemmed in the ideology of white supremacy, which is shaping this uh this theological heresy of Christianity in America. And we're just drinking the tea, drinking that Kool-Aid, and we have become intoxic. We've become toxic with that venom, to what, Dean Kenny was talking about, what you were bringing up last week in our podcast. We have become so toxic and intoxicated with that venom. And so this is what prophetic witness does. It is rooted and used to detoxify ourselves who are part of beloved community, who are part of the church. This is why this thing is so crucial. A prophetic witness is it enables us to detoxify by getting us to know who we are as a people, who I am as a person, and who God is in terms of my relationship with God, so that we do not embody that toxic venom of wickedness.
Right. It's like we can't go back to expecting that very literally, that the Democrats gonna have the solutions to our problems. So we put the Democrats in power, and now they're gonna take care of us. I'm not saying the Republicans are going to do it. I call out the Democrats because ain't nobody thinking the Republicans gonna do it. We are not under the illusion.
We already know that. That's why when you look at the stats, majority of black men, especially black women, voted for Biden.
But at the same time, Trump gained in black men and black women, and he gained more percentage of black women than he did of black men.
He did.
He
did in this election. Mm-hmm.
So, thinking that, and that's the thing, right? Like, more than likely, the majority of us is gonna return to thinking that shit is sweet.
Because we got an AKA as the vice president, man. We got an HBCU alum from Howard University, vice president.
Hey, that's the crazy thing, right? And now Biden telling us that he gonna have the most diverse cabinet in history. Man, I wrote a poem once, y'all. Y'all can Google it. The white man's new burden.
Mm-hmm.
And the white man's burden was a poem by Rudyard Kipling. And it basically established, the undergirdings of white supremacy, right? Like this was the sentiment of white supremacy.
He would be the validating poet to write that too.
And so I wrote The White Man's New Burden a few years ago, and the way the white man's new burden works is it gets black and brown people to shoulder the load.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's why I say Governor Northam in Virginia being caught in blackface wasn't a real problem. Justin Trudeau being in black body. Justin Trudeau said, "Fuck blackface." He put black makeup all over his arms and everything. He went full on. But that's not the problem. The problem is the real problem in blackface is when real Negroes get in positions of power and they do the bidding of white supremacy. That's the real blackface.
I agree with that.
We're supposed to be happy now that we got more Negroes who are willing to do the face work of white supremacy, that are willing to be just as brutal towards their people as white folks have been. The relationship to the police and the justice system in California did not change under Kamala Harris's tenure as a DA. They did not have a better perspective of the justice system in that community because she was there. The relationship with the justice community was not healed because she was there. Black folks still don't trust the system. The system still abuses them. Those dynamics have not changed. So why am I celebrating that she had that position? Obama was president. The perspective, the simple perspectives on blackness did not change. As a matter of fact, after 8 years of Obama, the perspective on blackness became such that whiteness gave us Trump.
Mm. Mm.
There was no emphasis from the White House on black entrepreneurship, on black, building black communities, black for blacks. Build your own economic infrastructure, build your own political. There was no emphasis. All the problems that we know that black folks have in terms of engaging with the system and needing the permission of the system to tell us that it's okay to do the things that are in our best interest. When one of our own, quote unquote, got into the head of the system, it wasn't like the system made it cool for us to build a life where we were no longer dependent upon the system.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we became more dependent upon the system.
Right.
So why am I supposed to celebrate that Negro held that role?
Or you can celebrate it, but just remember to what you're saying is that this system is not for us to be dependent on. And this is why we are placing emphasis on prophetic witness. We don't have to rely on the system. We come together as a beloved community and we build our own system. Listen, it has been done during the Reconstruction. It has been done during the Jim Crow era, which we're still in. I don't care what nobody says. It has been done through civil rights, and to what we are. I mean, well, after the civil rights, that's when we kind of lost the whole tension or the notion of beloved community because we become so individualized through integration and all of that stuff. But now it's time for us, I think, now more than ever, and I think that is what the and I hate to use this term in this sense, but I'm going to use it anyway. The prophetic witness that came from 45's him serving in the Oval Office,
right,
is to say, listen, this is the sign that now is the time that we need to come together as beloved community and be a prophetic witness as a beloved community to folk who are so filled with the toxic venom of wickedness. They serve in high places.
Right. And, we got to get to this space where we are helping because we want to help.
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
We are, giving you our vote because we want to give you our vote.
Yes.
That we are, the various things that we are doing is because that's what we want to do. We genuinely, joyfully, willingly, freely want to do. Not that we have to do, because if we don't do, our life is going to be a living hell.
Right. Correct.
And to me, when I look at it, right, I was looking at, what the fathers talk about in that scripture from Romans, I think it's Romans 5, about God showing his love to us in this and that, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. That, that whole piece about him not being under any obligation, like that was just love. I'm gonna help them because I want to help humanity. I'm gonna do for them because I want to do this for them. I imagine the freedom to help in that way, right? Like just we talk about, oh, voting, black folks saved America, right? And we did, in a sense.
We did.
For now,
Yeah.
just for now, because we know this shit is temporary, right? And it'll be back sooner than you think. That runoff election is going to be some crazy. But black people saved America, and we did. But that salvation ain't done. You know what I mean? Like, that salvation is not in finding Joe Biden. That salvation is not in getting Democrats to control the Senate too. That if we think that if we buy into that with them, that's for them to buy into. White folks could buy into that hope. They shouldn't, because it's a false hope for them too. But we damn sure should know better.
For sure.
And from that position of knowing better, be able to teach them better, right? Like Dave Chappelle was saying, come get these nigga lessons, you know what I mean? Like we gotta teach them, like, yo, we know this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to behave right now. But our history has been, we don't let them know what we know about them, like, we keep that to ourselves. We like, oh yeah, like we all say, we try to tell y'all about Donald Trump, because black folk knew who Trump was. We knew who Trump was. See them coming a mile away.
That. We seen that. That's a part of our historical analysis.
We like, oh yeah, they gonna let this fool. Oh yeah, he ain't leaving peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a surprise for us.
Right.
And that is our superpower. That we understand the white supremacists better than they understand themselves.
Yes.
And if they really want this country to be in a good space, they would come to understand that too.
Yes.
But see, they will never understand that if we don't start letting them know what we know. Because we always come back to each other, be like, man, you see what them white folks doing? You see them doing this? You know where this is going? We see where this is going. When we start letting them know what we know, we don't let them know what we know because we're afraid of what's going to happen. You know what I mean? We let these fools know what we know. Yeah, I mean, they start attacking. But they a vicious crew. So if we don't let them know, if we let them know what they know, they're gonna exact their judgment on us, and we ain't ready for that. So we can't minister to them. We can't minister to them except for in obligation. We do it when we need to, when we absolutely have to. Otherwise, we let sleeping dogs lie, because we know how crazy them fools are.
Mm-hmm.
But if we hear, this is what I think, you know what I mean? If we still here in this one nation under God, don't mind that shit is some bullshit when they say it. Don't mind that. We are literally and in fact in one nation under God. Whether they believe that to be true or not, whether they live as if that is true or not, doesn't matter. We are in one nation under God.
Mm-hmm.
And so long as we live in one nation under God, do like Joseph. Joseph knew what he knew, and Joseph used what he understood to help Egypt prosper, to help Egypt get out of its own way. And that to me is when we talk about black prophetic witness. That is, and that's why I say prophetic witness is prophetic witness, but the unique experience of blackness, made in the image of America,
Yeah, yeah,
gives us gives our prophetic witness particular poignancy in the American dynamic, I believe.
yes.
But are we willing to sacrifice our safety and
Yeah, man. Our security. Yeah, man.
that's why I say we got to find our own way to get off the plantation. You know what I mean? Like plant a
Yep.
garden, grow some food, grow your own food, invest your money, stack your paper, find a way where you could get off the grid. And so you don't have to need them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that when their white rage flares up, you have a chance to survive it.
Yep. Because it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. We live here still. It's gonna happen. We ain't left.
Yep.
We ain't left. If you think, especially since it wasn't a blowout election, if you think the next congressional election, the next presidential election ain't gonna be some bullshit, Ted Cruz ain't gonna be the next presidential candidate. And then we all in trouble. Because Trump was just a dry run. And that's all
Yep.
We've learned is that Trump is just a little too far for these white folk. They don't disagree with everything. Trump is just a little too far for them. Rein him in a little bit. And Ted Cruz got more discipline than Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happened, if that happened and we ain't ready to be free, all the Democrats do is give us more time to get ready to be free.
Allegedly.
What you say?
Allegedly.
No.
I say allegedly.
No. They don't do that. What I mean is that genteel way.
I see what you're saying.
That gradualist way means, they're gonna ease the pressure off of your neck a little bit. They're gonna let you gasp for air for like a 10 count. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll give you some water. They
good cop. They good cop. Bad cop just beat the shit out of us, right? Like for the last 4 years, bad cop been beating the shit out of us. Now good cop coming in. Like, I know he gets a little crazy sometimes. He gets a little crazy. I'm sorry. Here's some water. But bad cop is coming back in. Bad cop is coming back.
Coming back.
So while good cop is there, are you just going to sit and drink this water and trust good cop when good cop tell you everything gonna be all right? Or are you gonna use this time to figure out how the hell you get out from under the yoke of all of that? So that even if you're gonna stay, I'm not saying you gotta leave, but so that you can engage with the society from a free position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because otherwise we can't tell them how we feel. So to me, that's what I mean when you ask me what do I mean by black prophetic witness, man. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know what what you mean, what y'all mean.
Yeah. What does black prophetic witness look like to you?
Right.
What does that look like?
Right. Let us know. Is it something that is necessary? Is it useful in these times? What does it look like? And what role does it have to play in the face of these times? Because a charge to keep we have, brothers and sisters, a God to glorify, a never dying soul to save and fitted for the sky. We done come a long way, but Lord knows We got a long way to go. So let us march on till victory is won. Peace.